Morning, all. So we have a better picture emerging of how bubble life's going to work for hockey players, and this is going to be tough, and this is why when people say, just come back in October, yeah, about that. So pushing it back further than October is the smartest thing to do, to be honest. If you're looking for getting fans back in attendance, some sense of normalcy. And this is the safest system that they could come up with. And I understand. I think I understand where British Columbia's health services said no. I think it's the fact that when you get a positive test, the entire team doesn't have to isolate. I think that would be my guess, anyways. Where it is that what we're told here in BC is that if for instance, one member of my family were to come down with it, we're all in self isolation at that stage. So it's 52 individuals per team that are allowed inside the bubble. And when you get into the amount of staff you have and the fact that 31 of them are going to be players, it's kind of going to be a tight fit, and getting everybody in there is going to be rough because you got a lot of coaches and you got owners and all that. And I don't know, maybe owners don't go into the bubble. Maybe a team has to figure out another way to do this. So it's going to include ownership, staff, players, coaches, executives, staff, and all of that. And the list has to be submitted by July 13th of who's going to be in the bubble. So they can start figuring out all the testing and all that. And of course, it's 24 teams, so it's a lot of people. Daily testing is going to be upwards of 2,000 a day. And of course, this is where people are like, well, how, is that taking away from local health? They're paying for these tests. They're paying for these tests. I think it's $125 each. So this is not a cheap enterprise for them to be undertaking here. Officials, arena ice crew, security, bartenders, food service staff, food and beverage staff, hotel housekeeping, hotel kitchen, food prep staff, bus drivers, all included. And contactless food delivery is allowed. So you want to order something, you can go through contactless delivery. They just leave it at your front door, and then they bugger off, and then you pick it up. We've been doing that here since March, so it's nothing new for me, or likely for many people in the NHL already. And again, this is going to be kind of tough because the NHL at some point can delay, postpone, or call it off at any time. They have that written in there that if there is some sort of outbreak, they can call it off. So it's in there. The opt-out now appears to be as late as July 13th, which is when training camps start. It's supposed to be 3 days after the players ratify the CBA and everything. And remember, they're voting on the whole thing. So if the players vote no, they may very well be voting in favor of a long-term outage and getting nothing from the National Hockey League. And the NHL saying, maybe 50-50 doesn't sound right. Maybe we should get 55% of the revenues and the players get 45% because it's a pandemic and we're losing a lot of money. So, it's a slippery slope. There are things in that CBA the players are going to like. There are things in that CBA the owners are going to like. And if they all decide, no, we're going to vote no, that's going to make things dicey. And remember, voting yes to the return doesn't mean you will. So a player could just spitball. Chris Tanev in Vancouver. Chris Tanev could say, yeah, I'm going to vote for the return, but I'm not playing. They can do that. So they don't have to vote against the return because they don't plan to play. So we'll see what they do. So July 13th, likely the opt-out. No one enters or exits the bubble. No one. And again, I mentioned this in a video yesterday. If you leave the bubble without the approval of the NHL, without the approval of your team, you may very well be excluded from the rest of the tournament. And if they feel the team is somewhat culpable, they can punish the team via fines and or loss of draft picks. So if you want to get yourself traded, just leave the bubble. You may leave a general manager in a position where he's seething because he's losing draft picks, and now you're gone. So he may very well be likely to trade you. Single occupancy rooms, so there won't be any teammates in the same rooms, and you're not allowed to visit each other. So they are restricted to their rooms. Restaurants, bars will have social distancing, so they'll be open to the players, and social distancing will be in place. If it's not, they're not going to be there. Masks are mandatory when they're not playing the game, when they're not at practice or in the gym. So anywhere else, they have to wear a mask. It's mandatory, and that includes everybody in the bubble. The league will have excursions. And when I saw this, I thought, oh, they're going to take them on field trips. They're going to get school buses and line them all up, sterilized, sanitized, of course, and they're going to take hockey players on nice socially distanced field trips. That's nice. Where are we going? Well, today we're going to go to the mountains. We're in Edmonton. It's going to be a drive. So yeah, that I thought that was cute. And gyms are to maintain sanitization and social distancing as well. So when players are working out, they're going to be working out individually, not together, and there will be that minimum of 6 feet apart, and in between you using a station and someone else using it, it'll be completely wiped down and cleaned. It should be anyways, but, right? You didn't clean that, you're just leaving, are you? Oh, that's gross. So they're going to be tested 3 times, anybody entering the bubble, 3 times, 48 hours apart for each test over 7 days prior to arrival in the bubble. So you need to know that whoever's coming in is not bringing it with them. So that'll get done. And if you're going to the airport, you're being told not to carpool. You're being told not to use public transportation. Any kind of rideshare program, that is not allowed. So you can't be doing that. They'll be using charters to come in, team charters. The NHL, then once you're in the bubble, the NHL does the driving. I got to go. Where are you going? So now, for instance, one of the things that's been asked is, well, what if somebody needs medical attention? They can leave the bubble for that with league permission, and it sounds like somebody goes along with them to make sure that it's all done as safely as possible. So if someone needs medical attention, that'll get taken care of. If someone needs a prescription, that'll get taken care of. Everything gets taken care of for these players at the time, and the NHL is going to keep a close eye on them. Families will be allowed in for the conference finals and the finals. This has been rumored, I want to say, as long as 2 months ago, that players would be allowed to have their families there within the last 2 rounds of the playoffs. Now, daily testing will be done for all family members. So that's for their wives, children, for their parents, whoever they bring in. They are all going to be tested daily. Again, this is on the NHL's dime. So when people say, well, the NHL, this is just pure greed. Testing families isn't pure greed. While away, so while the players are away, which could be a minimum of 5 weeks away from their family for the conference finals, the NHL is going to take care of things. So if the family needs errands done, the NHL will take care of it. Grocery delivery, the NHL will do that as well. We've had that done here. Honestly, grocery delivery, I think, is fantastic. You can go on the website of most of the grocery stores, the bigger grocery stores, and do your order, and then you avoid impulse buys. So you can't anyway go, I need 8 bags of chips. Come on, it's 8 for $1. You don't have to worry about that. So I'm going to stand here right now and recommend, absolutely, grocery delivery is fantastic. You get exactly what you need. You can budget it all out. You don't get to the counter and go, wait, this was $150? Why is the cheese $45? So you don't have to worry about that. And yeah, so the NHL is going to take care of that. No, I'm not offering to do that personally, per se. There are services that will do that as well. So if you want somebody to go in and do the shopping for you, that can be done as well. And again, I'm speaking locally here. Now, if an asymptomatic player is out there and they test positive, they will not be playing. That rumor turned out to be just that. Or the NHL looked at that and went, yeah, we should probably change that. Asymptomatic players do not play until there are 2 negative tests. They have to get 2 negative tests before they play, and it's a minimum of 10 days as well. And there's no exercise for 14 days, whether you're asymptomatic or not. And then at the end of that 14 days, they have to do testing, and I'm guessing it's various wides. They're going to check the heart and the lungs and all that, and make sure that you're okay before they okay you going back and exercising. That's huge. If a player is in this situation and they're not able to exercise for 2 weeks, they're not going to be in game shape anymore. So this is going to be longer than just 2 weeks without a player, and you got to keep in mind, series last 10 days? So basically, if a player tests positive during a series, they're out for the rest of the series. Their playoffs are essentially potentially over. Symptomatic has to stay in self-isolation a minimum of 10 days until negative tests. Keep in mind, asymptomatics in self-isolation as well, because their rooms are just theirs. 72 hours after symptoms subside, they would be allowed to rejoin their teammates. And of course, the double negative tests. They have to get 2 negative tests first. The symptoms subsiding part is interesting. There are people I've seen, and I've seen reports where you may test negative, you may be okay, but you still have symptoms. So this will be interesting to see how the NHL does this, where if a person is tested negative, they no longer have an infection that could potentially pass to somebody else, but they may still have symptoms or some residual issues because of it. Where's the NHL going to fall on that? So that's going to be interesting. Benches are to be disinfected between every period. Water bottles will be all nicely segregated with, you've got your dividers at the bench, so you know which water bottle's yours. And I think that's kind of cute too. So not only are they going to have field trips, but you're going to put your name on your water bottle. So, which reminds me of our kids when they go to play hockey. You got to have your name on your water bottle because they all kind of look the same. So everybody's going to have their own water bottle with their name on it, and you're going to go out on field trips, and it's going to be, we went there last time. Can we go to the mall? No, we can't go to the mall. We've told you why we can't go to the mall. But I want to go to the mall. I just picture these conversations, and I hope we get, like, at some point an ESPN special behind the scenes, and I want NHLers wanting to go to the mall. Wanting to go to the West Edmonton Mall and do the whole water park, and complaining they can't go to the water park. But I brought my trunks. Why'd I bring my trunks? Well, you can go to the pool here. I don't like the pool here. It would be great. That would be like the greatest special ever. Interestingly enough, no handshakes, no high fives or fist bumps. Now, would this include after a goal? So the reason I say this is because, of course, you've got the line at the bench where everybody high fives. They're all wearing gloves. I don't see any reason that wouldn't be okay. But is that could be okay? And is there going to be like a high five guy who's like, listening for a high five somewhere? And I heard that you guys, you're done. You're not coming on the field trip. Good. We didn't want to go on your field trip. Phase 4, the dress code won't be enforced. So Don Cherry would be very upset with this, meaning they don't have to wear suits. It's been NHL rules that they have a dress code, that on their way to the rink they got to wear a suit. And that is enforced, and not this time. They'll just be going from the hotel to the rink. They're not enforcing dress code. Look for crop tops. I don't know that we're going to see a lot of jorts. We may see some jorts. Some flip-flops are possible as well. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out and which players actually show up in suits. I'm going to say that some of the European players show up in suits, and some of the veteran hockey players in the NHL show up in suits from the North American side of the equation as well. That'll be interesting. Who's going to show up in suits? We could even have, like, on game days, okay, who's not going to wear a suit, and we could have like a listing of 4 and do a poll and then see who's right before the game. But yeah, so here they go. And again, the interesting thing to me is I'm still seeing a lot of, well, they should just cancel the season. But players are testing positive when they're not playing hockey. We all know how dangerous this can be. The NHL knows how dangerous this can be, which is why there's so much testing being done, why there are so many guidelines in place that have been agreed to by the NHLPA's, committee. And really, in all honesty, if we're going to wait until nobody's testing positive, that's years in all likelihood. And it could be many years. That's just how it is. There's no guarantees with this. And so the NHL, as far as I can see, is trying to find a way to exist. Other sports are trying to find a way to exist as well. And I think next season, who knows where we're at next season. I look at what's going on with places like New Zealand, Australia, and parts of Europe, and I say, boy, I hope we get there. I hope we get there where really, in all honesty, it's controlled, and there's a very, very small part of the population that has this, and we're relatively safe to have social gatherings again, and to have fans in attendance at sporting events. That's what I'm hoping for. And the further back they push this regular season next year, the more likely they are to get exactly that. I don't think it's going to be the same in every city. I don't think that necessarily the risk in Edmonton in January is going to be the same as the risk in, say, San Jose or the risk in New York. And I really think this is the NHL going, okay, we'll figure out a way to finish this season, and then I don't know what we're going to do next, but We'll figure out a way to get this done. We're going to come up with a program that we think will work. And if it doesn't, then we have a blueprint. But again, if you don't want to see players get sick, this is the best way for them not to get sick. They get tested in the bubble daily. They get tested before they get into the bubble 3 times, minimum of 3 times over the last 7 days before they go into it, and they're isolated from everybody. Right now, they're not. Right now, everybody's out and free to do whatever they want. So, in all likelihood, it is more likely for players to get sick right now than it will be once this gets started. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video, and I will talk to you guys again soon once we have a confirmation on the CBA, which should be today. It's the 6th. They've got to get this done, right? I'll talk to you then.